Right, so it's been a couple of days. I've been thinking about what I'm going to do with this 2 litre LF motor and L3 engine. Been pondering over it for a couple of days, haven't been able to find any info anywhere about them, so I thought I may as well just dig into it and see what I find along the way. So as you see, I've got the 2 litre one up on the engine stand here. Inside the engine I've got the L3 intake cam with the LF pulley on it because they run a different style timing chain. The pulley managed to fit onto the cam alright, so that went in piece of cake. The LF rocker cover has gone back on because this one is a dipstick through the head style instead of through the front of the sump, so the rocker cover's got the hole for that in there. Got the 2.3 alternator on there, 2.3 inlet manifold. To get that to fit, the only thing I had to do was the metal coolant pipe there. I just had to sort of tweak that around because it was fouling up on the inside of the manifold there. It's a 2.3 tensioner. I think they're the same anyway, I just put it on there just cause. What else? Oh, I've had to go with the LF crank pulley because I was going to swap the timing cover over so we could use the L3 crank pulley because it's got the bolt holes in a different spot for the crank sensor, but I couldn't do that because the actual deck height of the block is different, so that meant the timing cover was actually slightly longer and wouldn't bolt on there. So that's on there. Just going to have to cross the path with the crank sensor issue once we get it back in the car. It's got the 2.3 starter motor on there. Swapped over the 2.3 coolant housing and EGR valve. EGR valves are the same, but the coolant housings are different. They've got a 2.3s have the extra nipple on the back of it. What else was there? I think that was about it. I've got the 2.3 ignition coils just sitting in there. As I said in the last video, the bolt holes don't quite line up. They sit in there quite snug, so I just wanted to see if we can get it in there and get it running, and then we'll see if we can sort that out later on as to whether the 2 litre rocker cover that has the dipstick going through the sump will go on there, and then those coils may bolt up. I'm not too sure. Yeah, I think that is about it. The only thing I'm really worried about is the crank sensor setup because they've got all the teeth around here, but then there's sections where it's missing teeth. So the 2 litre must use that as a guide for something, whereas the 2.3 one has the teeth just the whole way around. So yeah, like I say, we'll just cross that path when we get it in there and see what happens. So all that's left is I've got to get the gearbox off the 2.3, gearbox, flywheel, clutch, get it on there with our new spigot bearing, and then I think she's good to go. The oil filter housings are different. This is just a spin-on filter, that's a cartridge type. I'm going to keep the spin-on one on. I prefer them anyways, no point swapping that over. Yeah, and then I got chuck the wiring loom on and a couple of hoses, then we'll get it back in the car. I'll pick this up tomorrow night though, because as you see, she's almost 10 o'clock again. So we'll get the gearbox, clutch, flywheel, everything swapped over and get it back in the car tomorrow and see what happens. The motor, trans and everything all together, ready to go back in. Got the car up on the hoist here with an empty hole in there. So we'll go ahead, get it all in. I won't worry about videoing it because it's fairly straightforward. Just got our pile of bits down there, so make a start on getting it in there and see what we come. Right, so where were we? So it's been a couple of months. Work's been busy, etc. Haven't really got onto it, but here it is. Engine's in the car. Had a few minor hiccups. I mean, still haven't managed to sort the coil issue out, but we'll get there. I'll make some brackets up or have something made for that. That's all good. The car is running, engines in there, it's running, driving, going really good. So the only thing we came across was got the motor in there, cranked it over, and it wouldn't start. Check engine light come on, and it come up with a crank sensor issue, as I was expecting. So I swapped the L3 2.3 litre crank pulley onto the LF 2 litre engine, and made up a really average bracket with a bolt washer and a self-tapper screw, just so I can test it out to see if it'll actually start and run, and it does. Yeah, just to sort of recap what we had to do to get it up and running. It's got the L3 2.3 litre cam in the head with the LF 2 litre cam pulley on it, just so the ECU gets the right signal from the different pickup that the 2.3 litre cam has on the end of it. Swapped over inlet manifold, exhaust manifold, everything on the outside of the engine. I think I even swapped over the VVTi solenoid, just so that the 2.3 litre ECU recognises all the signals from them. And yeah, swapped over the crank pulley, and it goes good now. Been running around in it for a couple of weeks. The only issue we came across was one of the coils popped out because they're not bolted up, because they don't quite line up with the bolt hole. But other than that, it was all pretty straightforward. Did a couple things on it to get it up and running, get her warranted and registered, tyres, bushes, all the usual Mazda Axela stuff. But yeah, other than that, it is a pretty straightforward swap. Anyone can do it. If you have any questions or want to know anything about the swap, just comment or send me a message and I'll let you know. We'll go over it. And yeah, so there she is, up and running. We'll jump in her. Just got to do the whole foot on the clutch scenario with these manual ones. See, starts and runs, piece of cake, no lights. Pretty straightforward. I'll turn that aircon off so we don't have to listen to that. Yeah, other than a little bit of belt noise, she's a smooth runner. As you see, starts up piece of cake. So that's the 2 litre LF engine out of a Mazda Primacy from memory, and a 2.3 litre Mazda Axela. Piece of cake. Like I say, if you want to know anything, just send me a message and we'll go over it. Cheers.